Esther, it is delightful to have an opportunity to do this kind of brief interview before our event in less than 2 weeks. I'm very excited. And talk to me about, your talk, what you want people's takeaway to be, and obviously we're not going to give away the talk, but there was certainly a lot around the experience that, what do you want people to know, about what you'll be talking about, what you want the takeaway to be, what you're grateful for, what could have been better, could have been different. And I just want to ask how the heck you went from all of this to your award-winning kudos in 2024, which is obviously for work done in 2023.
Yeah.
When you were really just coming out the other end. So over to you.
Thanks, Eve. Yeah, well, I felt it's important to share my story because it's one that unfortunately half the population will go through because, the stats are there that 1 in 2 people will be diagnosed with cancer at some point in their life. And it's still seen as much of a taboo subject, and we don't talk about it. We'll sweep it on. We'll not look at it or think about it until it's an issue or unless there's a big problem. So I think it's important to highlight, that it's there and it's in the community, and it's um got the potential to interrupt your family and your working life and everything around you. So I think it's important that people realize that it's there, and that, there are support systems out there for people going through it. And maybe not so many after having gone through it, but definitely while going through it, there's a lot of support systems. And yeah, it's not something we ever want to think about, but it's something that needs to be more present.
And I totally appreciate the part about afterwards, because one of the things, my takeaway from your talk was, yes, there was a diagnosis. Yes, there was the isolation of COVID. Yes, there was a treatment. Yes, there were the amazing supports we have in Northern Ireland between Macmillan and the NHS and all of those good things. But this diagnosis does not happen in a vacuum, and the condition isn't time limited. And I think that you really awakened me to yes, there was the treatment year, and then there was the recovery year, and now there is who's the new Esther year.
Yeah,
Life isn't the same.
it's not, and it can't be. Even, when I look in the mirror and I had long straight hair and it's now short and curly, I mean, where did that come from? um like things like that you just take for granted beforehand. And you joke about it. We even joked that it would come back red.
Mhm.
There are people it doesn't come back at all. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful to even have a mop on my head now. um but it's one of
An
the
attractive one, I might add. I knew you with long, straight hair. I like this.
thank you, a different mop. um but it's definitely one of those things in life that will make you question everything. And my kids were very young when I got the diagnosis. One was in primary school and the other one was just started secondary school, brand new school, new teachers, new friends. I hadn't met any of them. So to know that they had the support system in their schools as well was a great bonus for me. It sort of took a weight off my shoulders while going through it,
Mhm.
because as a mum, you worry constantly about everything. So knowing that my kids would have this, in school, and my eldest goes to Newbridge Integrated, and they once a week would take him aside for a chat, see how he's doing, just let him sit, say nothing, say whatever he needed to say, and it helped him to process as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's You know, and the other thing I think we focus on is that it's our diagnosis or our disease, and it's not. It's the family.
It is.
Everyone is impacted.
Yeah.
And I was surprised to learn that even in the wider family, you were the first to have this kind of a diagnosis.
Yeah. Yeah. Even like, grandparents, parents, uncles, aunts, first one, and I was 40. So,
Yeah.
and I'm the youngest daughter. So, it's definitely one of those shocks. My parents were beside themselves, and with them living in Scotland, they couldn't easily come over because of the restrictions and COVID and everything.
Mhm.
And I'm even talking, the start of 2022, when
Yeah.
restrictions as a whole had been lifted, but not in the ward that I was allocated in for the treatment. So my husband admitted the other day that because he was never allowed in to see me and didn't see me with the drip going in and getting the treatment and stuff, it never really registered with him, because he
Yeah.
only saw me when I came home and the first few days, and how sick I was and how weak I was, and then I would gather strength again. But it was never 100% in his head, because I would always have gone away for business and going to trips and stuff. So it wasn't as if, oh, this is the first time mommy's away from home. It was just prolonged periods,
Yeah.
more than when I would go to meetings and stuff. But it was never fully registered because of the no access to me during the time.
Yeah. And I think there's also the piece of a lot of balls in the air. You're an entrepreneur. Your husband was part of the web part of the business. You have a business partner in the marketing end of the business and the podcast end of the business. Um, so it really, I know from the outside looking in, I don't think you all missed a podcast drop. Well done.
No,
Like
I didn't.
you know, and I think for some of us, supports afterwards, we're a bit like Aaron. We didn't experience, not like anybody was visiting,
Mm,
so I think the gift for me of your talk is inviting us into what we didn't know about not just a diagnosis and treatment, but a story, a change in family life, a change in professional life, and most important, a change in our identity, a real
mhm.
change in our identity. So thank you. Thank you very much for stepping into the fray. As we talked in the beginning, I had no idea what talk you were going to propose. And thank you. This one is very powerful.
Thank you.